Dear Twin Flame souls out there, welcome to the Twin Flame Awakening Journey podcast, and today is an episode 136. In today's episode, we're going to dive into 11 feelings or things that are actually so human and so normal to feel on this journey. On my recent episodes, we have been talking a lot about spirituality, how it is a spiritual awakening, how to balance your energy, what is the vibrational field, how can you elevate your vibrational field. And all of this is great and necessary on this journey. But also my soul is telling me another day, don't forget that we are humans. Don't forget that we are going to feel something and there is an ego involved. And we are having the human experience. And human experience sometimes can be very painful and very confusing, and we might not understand why we act this way, why do we feel this way, what is causing us to feel all of that crazy madness energy that we never felt before. And on Twin Flame Journey, when you have met your twin flame, you can often feel things that you have never felt before. I'm going to bring out 11 of them over here that you can feel. And that doesn't make any logic to your mind, to your soul. It makes sense to your soul, I'm sorry to say that. But it doesn't make sense to your mind. But I walk you through of why is it normal as a human to have this experience, and also what soul might be feeling at this moment. And why Twin Flame Journey, we call that as a journey for a reason. It's not a linear process. It's not that you're going to follow the steps exactly and you're going to have exact from the result from there on. Of course, working on your energy, connecting to yourself is very important, and I've spoken a lot about this on my previous episodes, which you can listen and see my perspective of it, my truth of it. But today I want to emphasize of being a human. We are humans. We're going to feel pain, we're going to feel rejection, we're going to feel confusion, a lot of loneliness. We're also going to feel a lot of connection that we never ever felt before. And you wonder, how on earth I can feel so much and yet I have no proof that this is real. I don't even know if my other person is feeling that. Why did I even come across with this? Who are twin flames? Why am I all of a sudden seeing synchronicities? Why am I all of a sudden feel so much urge to be with this person? And that's all very, very normal. So I'm going to walk you through today 11 things. You, of course, can write the comment if you have felt any of these things. What was the most confusing part or still a confusing part for you on this journey? As this podcast is our podcast, I always love your comments. I always love your truth. It not might be exactly what I said, but I love what you see. I love what you connect to. Because that brings so much more connection into this world. And as we know, on 31st of May, 4 of you who have commented will win $100 in their bank account, and you can do whichever you wish to do with that. Whether you need to go for some kind of a sound healing, breath work, or you would like to use this with me to have a Kundalini activation or channeling session or anything you wish to do. There are no, or you need to buy a book, or there are no requirements. We give for them who leave the comments, because that's the only way I figured that I could connect to you and see who is engaging here. So you leave a comment, whichever comment it is. I love your comments. I truly do. I haven't responded because I'm afraid that I might lose them when I don't look at them properly, because they stay on my feed. Then if I don't exactly reply, I have replied for a few of them, but I've written it down. So I will reply after the 31st of May for many of you, because your comments are brilliant. And actually, one thing right before we're going to go into today, what is normal to feel on this journey as a human. You people are beautiful. I am so blessed of the community we have, the souls you have. You have written the most beautiful messages to me. I shared them today on Instagram. But I also want to say, I am the mirror of yours. So read that message you have wrote to me as yourself. I am beyond. Sometimes I feel like I'm sitting and I'm like, you are the most beautiful people I've ever met. And the same thing happened on the retreats. Same thing have happened on the workshops. God or universe is, and your twin is a gift for connecting me with your beautiful energy. And the way you can express and say beautiful things, unbelievable. I'm very thankful that you have said these things to me, but I also want to say I am the mirror of yours. So there's that you are able to express so much love and gratitude. Remember that you are that love and gratitude. Read this message you have sent to me as yourself. I'm very, very thankful, and you are absolutely beautiful. So in today's episode, like I said, I want to talk from the very raw and real and from the human place. Because yes, even though I talk a lot about spiritual awakening, ascension, and soul purpose, at the end of the day, the truth is that we are still humans and we are on this path. And we feel so much, then it becomes overwhelming, confusing, and very painful at some time. Yes, we know that the twin flame journey is not just a love story. It's a soul's activation, and we all know that. Even though we have that romanticized feeling and all of that, and I'm going to explain about it, it is a soul's activation. Because if this would have been just a relationship, let's say you meet your soulmate, a loving soulmate, it goes gradually. You feel good, you feel connected, everything is wonderful. But your twin flame is going to come and trigger you. It's a mirror that reflects everything within us. And that's why it can happen while you are in a relationship. Let's say you are married. Or someone else is, like you say, your twin is in a relationship or married. Or it can happen in a place where you never expected this to happen. Everything is normal here because it does not ask for the time, place, and circumstances. It's not something we seek. I believe many of you who are listening to this podcast, you never heard of twin flames before you actually met yours. Before all of these things that I'm going to tell you today started to stir inside of you. And while we have now a lot of more understanding of spiritual level, our mind, our ego, and our nervous system doesn't know always how to process it. Because all of a sudden we are going to be asked to surrender into a connection that defies logic, timing, expectation, and even what we thought love was supposed to like, what it is. Like we think of that love is this, and that's how I receive love, and that's what the love is for me. So why this is coming to us? Why is it happening? This is before, and that's again the why is very much from the ego, while the soul has the answer. So often the question arises inside of us like, why do I feel this way? Why does it feel so overwhelming, so contradictory? Why I don't understand? It feels so beautiful and painful at the same time. And then when we begin to answer this, we have to acknowledge that within us, there are always two truths. And I spoke about the truth. But within us, there are always two truths operating at once. The truth of a human self, the ego, and the truth of the soul. And while the soul exactly knows why you met your twin, your soul knows that. Your soul has all the answer. But the human self, especially the ego and the emotional body, often has a very different experience. that is more rooted in a survival, in stories and protection. And that's where the fight starts to come in. But on a soul level, this connection feels like destiny. It feels like remembering, like reunion, like reactivation of something so ancient and so powerful that transcends in this lifetime. That's why we feel so connected. And that's because your soul does recognize your twin. That's why we go into that. This is a soul journey. This is a spiritual awakening. This is a twin flame awakening journey. Journey, not a destination. And that's why it does not feel that this person is stranger to you, because it feels a part of you. And so your soul actually doesn't panic. Your soul goes, yeah, that's right. Welcome home. You have arrived here. This is where you're supposed to be. Because it knows, your soul knows. And I always say your soul always knows why these things are happening, why you're going to feel this, why it knows everything. Your soul knows that this meeting, that when you met, you locked the eyes with your twin, or you had that moment, was about to trigger your awakening, your ascension, and your return to self and source, to the oneness, one. But now the ego. So why do we feel? What is the ego playing over role here? So being a human is very normal. And I'm going to say we should never feel these things that I'm going to share today as well. I always say we need to be very kind to ourselves. If you miss your twin, if you feel sexual energy, all of these things that I'm going to talk about it today are normal. But I'm going to explain why is it there a little bit. I'm going to say also find your own why, your soul's why. So now the human self, the ego, the wounded inner child or the body, is not very wired to respond so calmly. And that's why also your twin flame is running. It's not made to feel that this oneness is a good thing. Because it feels so intense and uncontrollable. And yes, while the soul feels safe, feels guided, and even excited, like you feel so much love that you never felt before, then the ego often begins to panic. And I remember even for myself, when I felt that divine source love that I had never felt before, I like I said, the time stopped. Nothing was there anymore. Nothing made sense. What my mind started to tell me, that something must be wrong with me. I might be falling sick. Something is not okay. I don't understand why I'm feeling so strongly towards a person I barely know. So the ego often begins to panic because it's going to ask to surrender to that force that you cannot predict, control, or you don't understand at all. Like I said, you don't understand what is happening to you. Because the ego by nature, your ego, and ego is not a bad thing. Please, I want to say that being a human and having an ego is not a bad thing. We are humans. We came here to have a human experience. So if you haven't figured out everything, if you are not in the most spiritual realm yet, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. You are here to expand and bring your best version out of you. And that's, of course, why you met your twin flame. But don't feel that, oh, I haven't done this way, so I'm not good enough. Or I should put more work into my spiritual. Of course, the more you can connect with the energy, the more you can connect to the oneness, the better it is. But the ego's idea is to protect you. And it holds everything inside of you. The times you were abandoned, betrayed, rejected, left behind. And it starts to build the walls around your heart to make sure that you will never, ever feel this way again. And then this person, including you coming to your twin flame's life, and came in, and all of a sudden these walls started to fall apart. And it sees all of your shadows, all of your light, everything, and this is terrifying. Because even if you want to love, there is a deep part of you that still doesn't trust it will last, or that you will be chosen, or that you are worthy of being fully seen or loved or anything. And this is something very deep I would like you to analyze today. Because I know it's difficult to analyze ourselves, but I'm going to say from my own journey, I did not actually believe that I deserve love. Love, that unconditional love. My understanding of love was very fear-based, meaning of I thought people will love me when I do something for them. I will have a love in my life when I achieve something. And I was very goal-oriented, very much. And I was controlling and controlling and controlling. And I had to sit down with that. I'm not saying that you have exact same thing what I had, because you can have abandonment or rejection wound or anything. But I would invite you to sit down and realize, before you met your twin, were you actually ready to receive this love? And now where the war starts inside of you, because the soul feels safe, the soul feels deeply connected, but the ego feels exposed. And that's why the separation is happening. I will talk about the separation another day, but that's ego is a reason of a separation. Not the soul, but the ego. And the ego feels out of control. The soul says, this is divine union. But the mind says, oh, this is dangerous. What is happening? And so the nervous system goes into overdrive. And there comes the fears, the longing to merge, needing to pull away. So it's like a paradox between wanting to trust and needing to protect. So it's not that easy to understand. So that's why so many of us are having a strange paradox on this journey, where we feel more loved and more alive, more seen than ever before. And at the same time, we feel more alone, more confused, and more emotionally triggered than we ever imagined. So how is that possible? How is that possible that you feel so much love you've never felt, you feel so connected, your senses are alive, and at the same time you feel like, I'm just all by myself here? Because, and this is a very important part, because really what is happening is that the presence of our twin, when you met your twin, they're activating everything that is not love within us. And I can 100% guarantee from my side, I've always said I had no idea what love actually is. And this is why when I felt the oneness, the love, the divine energy within me, I had that spark inside of me that I wanted everyone who feel that. And this is the reason of me doing retreats, me doing workshops, me putting out what I can put out. Because once you feel that oneness and divinity inside of you, that's where the magic begins. But now, at everything that is not love within us, the trauma, unhealed pain, the false beliefs that we are carrying about ourselves, and this is not to punish us here. This is why I say your human experience of what you're feeling is very normal, but it's here to purify you. So it brings it to the surface that we can finally transmute it. We can finally become free. And it's not about healing. I always say healing is very important on this part, but it's transmuting the energy. And that's why I love Kundalini energy, because we are not healing, we are transmuting. And so when we don't know what is happening, when we haven't yet learned to make the difference between voice from the ego and what wisdom of the soul, like we don't make it, these two truths are living with us, it's very easy to spiral. It's so easy to think of that, no, your twin flame doesn't care about you, that you made it all of this up, that this is not real at all what you're feeling and what's happening. that something is wrong with you or wrong with your twin flame. Because the human mind and your human experience likes to have certainty, likes to know things. But unfortunately, this connection rarely offers or rarely tells us the way we are used to. We don't get answers like that. But also the truth is that the pain we feel is not because love is wrong. It's because love is real. And real love, so-called soul love, divine love, it's the love that burns through illusions. And in that process, everything that isn't aligned with your highest truth will come up to be looked at. So when you're feeling like you're going crazy because you miss them so much, or because you can't stop thinking about them, or because the connection feels so alive, even in silence or separation, I just want to tell you that it's not that you are a failure of your logic or that you don't understand. It's your soul that stays present. It's your energetic field in their energetic field and says yes. And that can be very, very confusing for the mind. But there is a deep purpose in that. And so now let's dive into what are these things that you're going to feel. So the number one thing, the first thing you feel when you meet your twin flame, whether it was 20 years ago, 5 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 days ago, you feel that overwhelming sense that you have arrived home. And you are feeling so like you have, all of a sudden, everything, you feel seen, you feel safe, you feel like, oh my God, that's it. And suddenly this person is there who talks to you, and it can be just the blink of an eye. Blink of an eye, I'm going to say. You can just have eye gaze, or you can have it just touch, or one thing. It does not matter how long is the thing. Some of us can have a relationship. Some of us can have a very brief moment. There's no time of that. But you feel more familiar than family with them. You feel more intimate with them than any past lover you ever had. You feel that's something you have felt that you have never felt before, and you cannot explain it. It's just something you know, and your whole body relaxes into it. And it's finally you're feeling, I'm home. I can breathe. I've never felt so divine. And from the soul's perspective, it's a very normal way to feel that. It's a recognition. It's a remembrance. That's what is the knowing that, no, this person is not new to you. You've met lifetimes before, and your connection has never been broken. But for the ego, and now for the twin flame runner, that can feel very terrifying. Because it instantly creates the fear of losing something that now feels essential to you. So the ego can be like, oh, I need to find some answers. I need to know why I'm feeling this way. What is this thing? So that's why we see that sometimes on twin flame journey, when this happens, the twin flame runs, and it's not because of you. But the number one thing is what you're going to feel on this journey is that you have arrived home. You feel energetic surge that you are like, I'm here now. I am so amazing. So the another thing is that I always say is important to normalize, and we have that on a conversation on the Instagram Q&As often, like what to do when I miss them so much. Why do I miss them so much? I want to stop. And I always say, remember, it's very normal to miss a person. And again, to take off that energy, that feeling of you're doing something wrong when you miss a person. Because we have so much information about, oh, runner, chaser. If you are chasing, they run away more. And if you are the chaser, they will run. Remember, runner-chaser energy is based on energetic field. Yeah. Meaning of, if you are in lack, you are in chasing energy. You're looking for something to fulfill you. Like I spoke about this on my previous episode. If your stomach is empty and you're looking for food and eat, then you are in a state of looking for something. You're chasing for something. If you're full of food, you're not chasing for it. So the idea of runner and chaser is not about what we feel. We have to get very honest about it. Because when we are trying to, and I speak about this at the end now, when we fight against our ego and our human life, we don't understand the core element of this. So missing your twin flame, missing, let's say, your mother who has passed away, or your father, or your grandparents, or your dog, or anything, it's a very human and very energetically normal thing. I miss you. I miss. And so now we have to be like, no, I don't miss my twin flame because it's a chasing energy. No, you are missing, but we need to address why you're missing. So when you're constantly missing your twin flame, not only in a romantic way, but in this almost like obsessive energetic way, where you can feel them without even when they are there or not physically present, when their energy is showing up in your dreams, in your thoughts, in your body, and it can feel like, I'm going crazy. I can't get this person out of my head. And somehow you don't even want to, but you don't also know what to do with that. It's like what it is. And it's like your human self craves for connection, contact, reassurance, something to hold on to. And while your soul understands that you're still connected no matter what, because you have the constant energetic dialogue, whether you speak physically or not, telepathy is absolutely real. And now that's a part of the work. Learning to hold a connection without needing it to always look or feel the way your mind thinks or it should. So I'm going to just explain that a little bit more. So now why this is happening, that we are, like I said, about the chasing energy. Because the ego, it makes ego go mad. That's why I have said on my very first or second podcast where I said, the journey of you is going to make your soul and your mind to fight. So the ego wants something certain, control. It wants a clear sign. It wants to know, direct message. Someone has to say to me, someone has to be a physical presence. And that's very human. I've said that before as well. If my twin wouldn't have said all of these channeled messages that I had written down, I don't know if I would have calmed down my ego. I do believe that now with all of these practices and the knowledge and the things that have opened up inside of my body and my awareness, most probably I would. But again, I can't go back because my twin came forward and said to me, everything I had felt, I knew. So the ego kind of takes it that when there is an absence, when there is no longer a person, that is an abandonment or rejection. So if you are missing a person and you are trying to push away that energy, that energetic feeling what you feel, you're missing. There is a wound in abandonment and rejection. And that triggers the deep craving for reassurance, for something that you can hold on to and say, yeah, that's what it is. And now when it doesn't come, when you don't get the answer, the mind starts to spin the stories for everything. You're feeling lonely, insecure, fear. You're starting to cycle in the thoughts of endless thoughts like, what if, why not? Why is this is not? What if this is going to happen? What if that? Why? And you're going, why? Why is often from the ego. And that's nothing wrong. Today's idea for that podcast is to give you an understanding that you are a human. And that's that you're feeling so many spiraling energies and feelings and all of that confusion is very human. Very human. And your ego is not your enemy. But the thing is with the soul, when we connect to the soul, and especially that's what we see when we do the activations and we go into the field, you kind of become one. So many of you have said, oh, but we are not separate. And the why stops and you feel more connected. But that's very normal. It's like you would go like, but why is it like this? Why am I missing them? Why I can't stop thinking? Because the mind wants to know what this energy is doing here. Why I can't move on. Why I met this person only for a little time, or maybe you had a little longer time together, but why I can't move just on. My tip would be here, stop asking the why and start feeling it. Just start feeling it. So the next thing is the third thing that is very, very normal on this journey is wanting to know if they are feeling it too. If they felt that energy, what they are feeling at this moment, why they are feeling it this way. It's so human and it's so normal. And again, we shouldn't have any shame around this. I know sometimes when you come to my channeling and some of you are like, I don't know if I can ask how he feels or she feels. I don't know if it's okay for me. Of course it's okay, because it's a very human thing. You've been spiraling. Just a couple of days ago, I had a girl on the call. She came to tell her story, beautiful story. They met 20 years ago. They have been in touch since then. Even her twin has said to her many times how he feels the connection, like very honest. But also, like she said, that all of that, what they're feeling it, and she had channeling sessions. She told me that she found a medium, whoever, and she said it was one of the most healing things ever. Why? Because channeling comes from the soul. It doesn't come from the mind. And every one of you is capable of doing it. It's not me who is the magic who can do that. Every one of you can do this. I can see more and more of you are really stepping into, through my workshops, through the meditations, all of that. But it's so normal that you want to ask or reassure that, do they feel it too? But as your energetic field is connected to them, it's very easy to connect to this. And it's so natural that you want to know what they're feeling. Did they feel the same what you felt? Was it real for them? Are they also hurting or confused, or are they awakening? And this is the validation that actually somehow comes for us from the past, that we've been hurt. And so we kind of go like, I can't trust myself. I can't trust my intuition. I can't trust what I'm feeling until someone else confirms what I feel. So I had exactly the same. When I was channeling and I'm putting down the messages and things, what I was coming, it was like a vomit coming out of me in that sense, that with the words, I was writing on the journal, I was putting down on my phone. And when my twin then admitted, then I had peace. But I also had peace actually before that. I had channeling sessions before that. And I had the holotropic breath work, which I always recommend. I say that's where you are going to see the oneness. And I see this with inner dance. I see this with Kundalini activation. I see this with many things. But what I'm just going to say here, why is it so part of you that constantly are seeking for that? Do they feel it too? Because the soul is inviting you to deepen your self-trust, your knowing. So that's why it's such an urge there to know, which is beautiful. And that's why I say not to suppress that. But your soul wants, stop outsourcing your knowing and understand that the silence that you're experiencing right now doesn't mean it wasn't real. So what I'm trying to tell you is the fact that you want to know is wonderful. That's why I say deep meditation and you have the answer. Channeling sessions and you'll have the answers. Go to the holotropic breath work and you have the answer. Anything where you can calm the mind down, your soul knows. Anything. Of course, then the next thing that starts to happen, the fourth thing on this journey, all of a sudden, a lot of signs starts to appear. 111, 222, 555, 1212. You see birds, you see songs are talking to you, telling you messages. And just in the right moment, or messages in the dreams, like very clear. You see the names on the billboards. You go outside, the car number plate is telling you something. You go and talk to someone, they say to you something, and you're like, what is happening? Am I going nuts? And you think you're imagining it all? Or you think like, is the universe trying to guide me? What is synchronicities? What these signs are? And this is the truth, that your frequency has changed and shifted. You don't see these things by accident. Your frequency has changed and shifted. And now your awareness has expanded also a lot. And your soul is showing you that nothing in this life is random. And no, you're not going crazy. You're not going crazy at all. There is a divine guidance behind it. But again, so our human mind comes in, our human, beautiful human as you are, and wants to be sure. Wants to know what to do with these signs. Why do I see 1111? Why do I see this bird all the time over there? What is happening over there? And so we spiral again. How to interpret them, how to understand. And that's where a lot of confusion and anxiety can come in. That's why I always say, when you see the sign, nothing in this world is by accident. The way you met your twin is not an accident, not a punishment. You met your twin in a divine timing, divine place, divine energy. Your ego just didn't know that yet. And the same with all of the synchronicities and signs. They are not here to find that you will have the answer today. They're here to guide you. And the more, like one of my examples is always when I see something is shifting and changing, as the frequency comes very quickly to tell you, I say, thank you. Thank you. I trust you. Show me the way. I don't know what's coming, but I thank you. And that's it. The next thing is that you can start feeling on this journey a lot of anger, sadness, abandonment, rejection towards your twin. You feel betrayal. You feel, why did they do this to me? Why they don't answer to me? Why they don't come back to me? Why they don't wake up? Why they are like this? And you feel like a lot of that there is this feeling of, this is unfair. You know, this is not why I was supposed to see this. This is not what it is. And you start, how do I say, kind of feel like, yeah, it's like there's an anger and disappointment. Feeling it's like, oh, you're having a good life and I'm not feeling good here. But it's not because they are trying to hurt you. It's because some of the parts of you in your presence awakens that you're still living in either in fear, in lack, in protection. And so your ego starts to scream, look, this is not good. This is not what I'm supposed to feel. This is unfair. I will not open my heart again. I will never show that part of me. But your soul at the same time kindly says to you, no, this is healing. Stay with it. Don't run. And that's one of the things why I say often why people don't come to the healing sessions. And including your twin flame who might be running right now. And maybe including you as well. I always say that I never see anger or judgment or any of these things when it comes out of us as a negative thing. I always embrace it. I'm like, let it out, let it out. Say it out, let go of you. Because when we keep that as inside of us, oh, it is like a poison. But we need to sit with that. And that's why many, many people don't do healing sessions, because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel your own rejection, your own betrayal. And And I know that we see on this journey often that, but that's what my twin is doing for me. No, that's what you're doing for you. So it's a very hard topic, and I know it's going to trigger the ego, that how can I do that to myself? But I'm going to say, once you liberate that, so much love can come and heal. So the next thing is on this journey, the fifth thing, or are we on the sixth thing already? I don't know. The sexual feelings. You feel so much sexual energy between one another that you have never felt before. And it's not just like a desire that you would like to have or something like it feels so sacred. It feels so magnetic. You can sit in a place on your own and you feel how the energy is rising. You feel so much sexual energy that you have never felt before, that you're out of control. And yes, your twin feels it too. And it's often, most of the time, the sexual energy is without the physical contact. You can have a physical contact, but most of the time that sexual energy rises without you touching even yourself or anybody else or being on that mood. It comes. That's why I say once you experience that, congratulations. But it can be very confusing and intense, and especially when you don't know what to do with that energy or how to move that through your body. And the reason why it feels so powerful is because it's not physical energy, it's the Kundalini energy. And I've spoken about it. I will make a special episodes about just Kundalini where I talk about it. I will put this on a Patreon and maybe under the membership. Like I said, for me, it's a very sacred energy. I work with this energy daily. I respect it. For me, it's like something I am thankful. I am humble, very humble to it. That's why I say I don't commercialize it. I don't force that to anyone. I don't say that this is the magic. But it's a life force that starts to rise, and sexual energy on this journey is extremely important because it's this, your chakra starts to align during this time. It's the union between masculine and feminine within you being awakened. So the ego, of course, feels like, wow, I want to stop this. What is happening? I can't have any more sexual contact with anybody else. I'm feeling so much. Why is it coming all the time? Again, why? Now, when we talk about it, how to move it through your body, I will speak about this on a Kundalini episode. Today, we talk about being a human and feeling all of that. But those who want to know about it, how to move about it, I'm more than happy to share anything that happened to me, what I have read, what has come through this, all of that. But maybe not for, like I said, for me it's a very sacred, makes me very humble. It does not make me the knowing or the knower or the guru or the someone. No, it's the energy. And yes, now it comes another thing. I think we are on the 0.7 or something like this. Seventh thing is that the intensity and loneliness at the same time. So you feel extremely lonely on this journey. And not only because of that physical separation that you are not with your twin, you feel like no one seems to understand what you are going through. And how can you even explain to someone that you feel so cosmic, multidimensional bond with someone who may not be in your life anymore, but yet you feel them every day? And now I'm going to say here, for a human life, I've heard that so many times where people say, but my time is running up. I'm getting older. Why not to spend that time together? Why we need to have this separation and this awakening and all of that? Very human, of course. We know that the time is running up. We know we don't stay here forever and ever. And the human self is the one that likes to have a community, support, and clarity. But one of the reasons why it makes it very lonely, but that's also one of the reasons why I opened up on my website the option to have a call. It's about talking about it. It's nothing, how I always said, nothing else. For me, it is sometimes we just need to talk. I felt that when I was going through that intense loneliness time. I really felt I was driving around, I could see the people, and I felt none of them understand what I'm feeling. None of them will ever understand because it doesn't make sense. How many times have you said on this journey, it does not make sense? None of it makes sense. And people would tell me you would move on, you would do this, you would that, but inside of you, your soul knows there's no moving on. I need to embody this. But it feels very lonely and very confusing. And so we spiral in this loneliness. And that's why I say it's very human to want to be with that person. Even though, yes, we can say, we know that it's a soul's journey. We know that there is a soul awakening. We know all of that. It's a very human to want to have a relationship. So the next thing is, I think what you're going to feel here is that you're trying to start to make sense of everything. You're starting to understand. So you are in this constant feeling of what's happening. You're Googling. How many times you have Googled, why am I feeling so intense, this or that? Why is this happening? You're reading, you're watching videos, you're asking for sign. You're trying to put the pieces of puzzle together because your mind believes that if it cannot understand it, or in a sense of if it can understand, if it makes sense, like now if I make sense, maybe it will not hurt so much. And maybe I can fix it somehow. And maybe I can figure it out what to do next. But here is the hard truth, which I'm going to say. The twin flame journey isn't about mental logic. The twin flame journey is not about mental logic. You will not figure this out. It's about energetic surrender. And that's why the previous episodes that are leading up to today talk a lot about energy. And that can make it very frustrating, this journey, because when the ego just wants to do something to make sure that it all makes sense, you have to make sense. It has to. Why is it this way? Why is it this way? Why? I always say that why will make us crazy. We need to calm down. So now the other thing is what we often can question here. And I've always said, if your twin flame, you met the twin flame, please do not label everyone twin flame. And also the labeling is The labeling is another issue of that journey. The less we label, the more union we are. But I'm using something to make our human mind, our brain, to understand. Because the brain, like I said, wants to understand. Mental logic, and wants to understand. Then comes more of the peace. Well, in a reality, it is energetic. We can solve that only with energy. It's the same podcast today that I can tell you why is it like this, what our mind, what our nervous system is doing. But at the end of the day, it's integrating and embodying the energy. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to. I always say, try it just on your own. Connect to the energy. And so now one of the other hardest part of this journey is that you felt so good together. You both felt so sacred connection that you never felt. And you couldn't even imagine that something is so amazing. But then for some reasons, it's not working out at all. There is no straight line. There is not like you met, you feel good, you're going to have all of that. It's a total opposite. And it makes no sense. Because you felt divine love. You felt you were divine love together. Like there was so much love that we cannot even put this into the words. But at the same time, you're being asked to let go, to wait, to grow separately. And it really feels impossible. It's like some kind of a weird game somebody's playing with us. Because how something that feels so destined, felt so good, felt so divine, feels like you cannot have that. And like I said, twin flames are not a normal relationship. You can never treat them as a normal relationship. You can be as a couple. You can live together. You have infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. But it is not the idea. That's why this is what is happening. It was your awakening. And the truth is, from the soul's perspective, it's not about whether you end up together in the way your ego wants. It's about whether you can return to yourself through this connection, whether you can find this union within. If you can break the old patterns of chasing and running, needing and fearing, and step into the love that is unconditional, free, and whole. And that's something I spoke about it, that when I felt that divine love, and I had just last week one beautiful soul who is coming to retreat. Happy to have you here. She said to me, "Hey, B, I did what you said to me," because we had activation and channeling. And I felt that divine love. I felt that oneness. Is that what you're talking about? This is so amazing, because all of a sudden I felt I don't need them anymore. And this is one of the reasons why my podcast exists, why my retreats, why my workshops exist. Because when I felt that, my soul and my heart and everything inside of me was like, I wish you to feel this. Everyone on earth, everyone, honestly, to be honest, every single person, twin flame, no twin flame, every one of this, because then we realize we are not in lack. We don't need to compete. We don't need to put each other down. We don't need to fight. None of it, because the world has enough love, enough connection, enough everything. And you can have a human experience where you feel love, you're connected. And that's why I say that being human is as important as aligned with your soul. Because as a human, you want to feel that someone hugs you and you can hug someone. You can kiss someone and you can kiss someone. You can go and do all of that. But when it comes from the fear, you always will feel, oh, someone else is going to be better than me. They don't love me. And that brings up a lot of fights and a lot of misunderstandings. Then another thing on this journey, what you can feel, I think it's the 9th thing, is that you will never, ever feel this way again. That no one on this earth could possibly touch you in this deeply. That no one could ever come too close to the pain of thought, like it's like, no. And so the ego that is built on it from pain and avoiding loss grabs into the idea that, or that has that feeling, because if you let go, if you open again, if you open your heart again, if you soften towards someone else, or you connect to this divine love, then you are betraying someone, once in this lifetime love. And you are like devaluing it, and that wasn't it. And you are, of course, having a chance to get hurt again. And so we start making this, and I remember I said the same thing. I could never feel the same love towards anyone. I could never, ever feel that divine connection towards anyone. It's impossible. That's what it is. It's only that person. But that's not true. When I felt that love within, when I felt it, this is incredible. And so the difference here is that your soul knows what you felt was not only their love of that person, it was yours too. It wasn't about them. It was about what they activated in you, about the opening, remembering, everything that happened in your heart and body. And your soul knows that this kind of love is not something you only get to feel once in a lifetime. It's something you are. something you carry, something you radiate, something when you are in alignment with your truth and your divinity. And so while this experience can be very unique, very weird, sacred, doesn't make anything, the feeling of that love is not gone and it's not lost. It lives inside of you now. And it's not that no one else will ever love you this way. It's that you are being invited to love yourself this way. And if you are in this stuck of loop where you say to yourself that I could never match this love, understand that this is your ego's grief speaking. And it's the fear that you will never feel alive again. It's a fear that you will never be the same again, that you stay broken or alone. But from the soul perspective, it is the love wasn't here to end your journey, it was about to begin. And that's I 100% can tell you. It's about to begin. To show you what is possible. To open your heart wider than you can ever imagine in your life. And to remind you that the source was never outside of you, it's always inside of you. So yeah, let yourself to grieve, let yourself to feel that. This is a very human, don't feel that this is a bad thing. But don't confuse the pain of the loss with the truth of your soul. Because you're still love. And the right thing is that the waiting. We've spoken about that you keep on waiting. And the waiting is like you're waiting for their message, waiting for them to confirm, waiting for this little ping on your phone that maybe they're thinking of me. Maybe they haven't forgotten about me. That just maybe they feel it too. Maybe they have it too. And you're waiting for the moment where you finally have the words, where you feel like, okay, now it's time to save. And you can finally speak your truth. Say the things you've been holding for so long. But let's be real with the waiting. Waiting is a form of fear. Whatever is it. For the ego, for the human mind, it's an idea for the hope that if we just a little bit longer, if we are just staying a little bit longer, something external will shift and we make this uncertainty to go away. Because the mind likes to control. The mind likes to have a knowing when, how it's going to happen. It wants the clear outcome. And so it kind of says or feels or expresses like, wait, don't say anything right now. What if they reject me? What if I am wrong? What if they have moved on? What if I ruin something and then will it still happen? So we wait. We stay in that waiting. And not always because it's soul aligned to wait and stay patient. Just because we are afraid that what might happen if we act too soon, or worse, if we act at all and don't get the response we hoped for. And that's another thing. We are waiting. What is happening? But now from the soul's perspective, waiting isn't about watching the clock or holding your breath until someone outside of you moves, or it's about alignment. It's a feeling into the moment when your truth is no longer bound by expectation. When you can just say it, and it doesn't matter what is the response, but you can say it. When you can speak from your heart, that is no longer a strategy to get something or have an outcome, or now I know I said that and I got this answer. But just simply a reflection of who you are now. And you are not afraid. You're not afraid of love. You're not afraid of rejection, or you're not afraid because it doesn't exist inside of you anymore. You're free. You're free as a bird. You just say it and you let it happen. Your soul doesn't rush or beg. It just is. And sometimes that also means of being in silence until the energy is clear. And sometimes it means speaking when there is no guarantee of being received the way you wish. Even though it's always different, for your soul, it's not about pause, it's about presence. So if you are stuck in a limbo of should I tell them, will they message me, or when it's the right time, today ask yourself, am I waiting for love from fear? Am I waiting for love or from fear? Am I waiting because I trust divine timing? Or because I'm afraid of what happens if I release control? But I'm going to tell you one of the truth. The truth is that all we have is now. There's never a perfect time. Never, ever a perfect time. There's only your alignment, your clarity, your truth. And that's why all of the workshops, I'm going to say again, why I do this is because you would discover that. You would discover that inside of you. It's not me. And for your soul, unlike the mind, everything is fine. So now, the last one, what if they choose somebody else? What if they choose someone else on this journey? And that's really the moment it can break you open. The moment you find that they are with someone else, or they've chosen another path, another person, another life that doesn't include you. And suddenly it's like everything inside of you ignites with fire. The anger, the betrayal, the heartbreak, a deep soul confusion, because how could someone who touched you the deepest level, who you felt every cell of your being, everything you felt, and they just go and choose someone else and act like none of it ever happened, like none of it ever meant anything. So the ego takes it very personally. The ego can scream and say, I'm not enough, I wasn't chosen, they lied, they moved on, I must have imagined it all, this is not real, I'm not good enough, there is someone else who is better. And it will play out every wound you have ever held. Abandonment, rejection, comparison, unworthiness. And that is a hard one. And that shows that it's somewhere inside of you and hasn't fully healed yet. And worst of it is actually that it's trying to convince you that their choice of their life means something about your value, your worth, and your lovability. So can you imagine that someone else's decision in their life makes you feel something that is not actually true? And the longer you wait for them to come back, the more unbearable it feels. Because the love in your heart hasn't died yet, but in reality, in front of you says, well, the relationship isn't happening. And that disconnection between soul and circumstances can feel like a torture. And here I'm going to say, there is nothing wrong. And we're going to get to that point. Today is a little bit longer episode. But we're going to get to that point, how to connect to that ego mind. And because the ego and your soul, it's all very human. Everything what you feel, like how can I even say that if your twin is choosing someone else to be in a relationship, and I would say, no, you should be happy. You should feel love inside of you. Oh, why you don't feel love inside of you? You're letting them to control you, your life. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. You're a human. And you're going to feel what I just said. Yes, you are. But why I say this, I don't want that you will value yourself on that you start believing it. So now what the soul feels. The soul, of course, feels that the connection is real. And yes, it's still real. It doesn't mean that the human timing is right. It doesn't mean that they are ready. It doesn't mean you are meant to be together right now. Because the soul knows that relationships, especially divine ones, of course, cannot be forced or chased or built on pressure. That's also the Kundalini, what we often do. There is no force. There's no pressure. There's not something we're going to chase. It has to come itself. And the soul knows that if they're choosing someone else, it's not because you are not worthy. It's because you both are still in layers of your journey that needs to be unfolded before union can even be possible. So the soul knows something very, very difficult. In a sense of sometimes the purpose of this connection was never to end in a relationship the way you imagined it. And that's okay for your soul. It is. But now for the mind, and I'm gonna say it is a journey that takes us there. But you can be in a relationship. I never said you cannot. So now how do we shift that? How can we make a difference and shift it? So because I know when you are middle of that heartbreak, when you feel the frustration and your deep longing, it's not so helpful for me to say, be in your soul, trust the divine timing. They are gonna come back. They are here. Don't worry. You are connected. Da 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 da. All of that is true, actually. But it's not helping. Because when your whole body is aching for something to change and your mind is spiraling with thousands of stories, it's like... So we have to be very, very honest here. The ego isn't wrong what it feels. Not at all. What you're feeling is very normal. That's why I brought up today these examples. If you're feeling, if you have experienced this is very, very normal. The ego is trying to protect you. It's scared, it's confused, it's trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense in this linear world at all. And the ego believes that if I just figure it all out, if I just get to know what to do next, or I find the right moment, or I wait long enough, I will be safe, and I will be chosen, and I will be loved. So it's about figuring it out for the human mind. That's one of the reasons maybe also you're listening to my podcast, because it's like, I figured this out. I'm going to say to you, you're not going to figure this out. If you are just going to energetically shift, you'll see, but not with the figuring it out. So the first step with your ego, with your human mind, is not to fight with the ego. And I say that on every meditation, I say that to every activation, I say that to everyone. Never fight your mind, your ego. It's to witness. What is it telling you? You need to slow down enough to notice, okay, right now I'm in my ego. Right now I'm in my fear loop. I'm trying to control. I'm trying to make sense something that can happen. I'm not feeling good enough. And instead of shaming yourself or trying to force yourself out of it, just take a breath. Just calm down for a moment. Just breathe in, breathe out, and be like, okay, yeah, all right. Now take your attention into your body, into your breath, into your heart space. I've heard many of you are doing on my Patreon, which I'm very thankful. Thank you for the feedback. Are doing the heart activation meditation there. And you find it extremely powerful. And that's where you're going to connect to the heart space. Thank you for doing mine. Thank you for your feedback. Because obviously everything I do, I go into the deep meditation. I connect to the sound. I connect to the words. I connect to everything to give that energetically. So thank you for your feedback. But what I'm just saying is that you can do anything, but go into your heart space. Just literally place the hand over your heart and feel it's like it's beating. feel life moving through you right now. Like just feel it. Just feel what is it doing. Because your soul is always here, but it speaks a little bit softer. It doesn't shout like the ego. Yes, no, here, there, go, be, no. It's very calm. And it speaks the truth that does not need a validation. And remember that the shift happens not through force, but through softness. And maybe some of these questions, instead of asking, why aren't they choosing me? Ask yourself, where can I choose myself more deeply right now? Where can I connect to myself more deeply? Where can I feel this more deeply? Or instead of asking, when will they come back? Ask yourself, what part of me is waiting for something external to prove that I am lovable, that I can attract that love? Or asking, I will never feel this way again. Ask yourself, what if this love was never meant to be taken away, but to be expanded, grown out of me, even if they aren't with me? So the shift into your soul is not by denying your pain. And that's the number one thing actually on this journey, not to deny anything you feel. Because when you're gonna go down to that path, I'm doing something wrong, this is a runner-chaser energy, this is this, you don't address the energy. None of us. That's a human experience. We are not here come to this that I know what to do, I know how to stay centered and grounded. We're gonna feel pain. We're gonna feel uncertain. We're gonna feel the things we never felt before. And it doesn't mean if you don't master it today in the sense of spiritual alignment that you're doing something wrong. Number one is to connect to the pain. So, but being present is where you get it. You cry, yes. You're gonna rage, yes. But then you return, you sit in silence, and you connect to something higher. You ask for guidance, and you speak to your soul like you would talk. And you start choosing you. You stop waiting for the messages and so on. But this doesn't happen overnight. So being a human on this journey and feeling all of these intense feelings is very normal. Don't ever underestimate that. So yeah, today's episode was like that. It may be a lot to think about it, maybe to understand that you haven't done anything wrong on this journey so far. Nothing. It's a human experience while your soul is awakening and the mind and the soul are in a fight. But you have the power to shift and change at one point. It doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, it doesn't have to be 1 month from here. Step by step. Everything has a process, everything has a meaning. I didn't come to that place where I am today overnight. Oh, if I would have come overnight, would I have learned something? Would I have got to know my soul? Most probably not. So that's a process. That is a process. And you are doing absolutely an amazing job, even just listening to this podcast today. So most probably it's one of the longest episodes we have done, but I just wanted to say that being human is normal. Missing your twin is normal. Feeling all of these energies is very, very normal. Anyways, just to end up the podcast as usual, like I said, if you comment, if you like, if you subscribe, if you are staying here, you will receive some. We will pick up 4 people who will receive $100 on the 31st of May. So you will see that on social media, on Instagram, and you will see this here. We will write either on your Spotify comment that you are the winner to get in touch and so on. For Patreon, we meet on 8th of June again for the workshop. So we are preparing June and July We are preparing for the Lionsgate. Beginning of June, Lionsgate tickets will come on a sale. So make sure you get yours, because we have limited, because we are making sure that everyone's energy we connect to will be that we have attention to it. And those who wish to connect, twinflameawakeningjourney.com, whether you need to talk about it, whether you need to share about it, or have a channeling session, or have the activation, whichever, anything. Like I say, there are options, are endless. Just make sure that you listen to your soul, you let your soul to guide you while you are human and making that click. You let your human body the moment to follow your soul's soul's answers, or soul's lessons, or soul, however. Anyways, thank you for being here. And I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Good night.
I can see it on the horizon, spray painted in black and blue. I can feel the storm winds rising. Can you feel them too? Rain pouring, the sky's falling, lightning strikes and thunder rolls. But just hold on to my hand and don't let go. Once more into the fire, once more into the burning flames, once more into the fray. But I swear we're gonna be okay. I can see it on the horizon, spray painted in black and blue. I can feel the storm winds rising. Can you feel them too? Rain pouring, the sky's falling, lightning strikes and thunder rolls. But just hold on to my hand and don't let go. Once more into the fire,